I want to give a shout out to those watching online. Go ahead and join me, whoever you are, wherever you are in the world. We're so glad that you're tuning in today. I'm Pastor Steve, one of the pastors here. I know we've got a few people out recovering from sickness or surgery, and we just speak a blessing over you, healing in your bodies. In the name of Jesus, we speak blessing over Brad, Cherie, all that y'all have dealt with this week. Send our love to you guys, and it's good to see you in the house. So I was in Florida beginning of the week. So we are part of Next Level Relational Network. And so it's not a denomination. It's just a group of pastors that meet monthly. We call it Brotherhood Sister, kind of like we've adopted here at the church as well. And then over the years, Missy and I have gone to Fort Myers, Florida for the conferences, the lead pastor gathering that I just went to, and then the conference in the fall. So I jumped down to Florida, got a couple days there. God did some really good things in my heart. Some cool things happened. I'll get to unpack with leaders this month and some different meetings that we'll have. So just seed that into lead team training for the lead team is the last Sunday, 5 Sundays this month. So the last Sunday of the month, we'll have that. So we'll make sure you got all the details. But it was really good. So thank you guys who knew I was going for praying over that this week and just leaning into this message today and looking around. I don't see any visitors, so I don't have to tell you again exactly why we're doing what we're doing. But I am going to read Deuteronomy chapter what? Verse what? 14. The word is what? Very. It's very near you. Where is it first? I'm giving you a clue. Mouth. And in your heart, so that you may do it. Deuteronomy 30, verse 14. Come on. The word is very near you. It's in your mouth. It's in your heart, so that you may do it. We are being doers of the word. Amen. Well, last week, it was interesting enough where I was telling Dream Team earlier today, we got into ministry. If you weren't here, I would really encourage you to go back, watch the video of the service message and all that. But we got to the end, and I really was leaning into, in my heart, to pray for anybody that was dealing with shame. Anybody remember that last week? And I know the hands that went up and some of you gathered around, I know those people really remember it. But we dove into that, and it was interesting because I got home, I was like, I know I have Shameless on the list to teach this year. And I looked, and I kid you not, it was today. It was today. God was just starting to prime the pump by His Spirit to help us overcome this thing called shame. So this is my shameless plug of the title. Shameless. And we're not going to talk about that focus of reason for calling it shameless, but the other. And I'm going to ask you to turn to Mark chapter 16. And before I forget, I just want to give props to the production team, Pastor Eric. We had a technological frustration of a morning. I'll just say that, where we were just kind of like, okay, let's flex, let's lean, let's be flexible, let's do something different. You know, we didn't have confidence monitor in the back, different things, but they, in the middle of service, I don't know how you did it. I just call James Superman, but they got it done, and everything's working. I'm assuming we're streaming fine. And so I did welcome people for a good reason. All right, so it's all running, but I just got to say as a pastor, I appreciate all the Dream Team for all you do. Let me lean into that for a second. Let me pastor for a second. And I know it's easy to overlook sometimes when things are getting done. You're just like, oh, they just get done. Well, today when you're going through the line and staying for the food, I want y'all to make sure you thank Jen. Jen is up here during the week, every potluck, and she's setting up. She's here during service to make sure everything gets to the tables good, crock pots are warming up, all that kind of stuff. So also, at the end of the year, if you were here the last service, so literally the end of the year, I kind of listed things on a board that are I would say the totality of all that I carry and I do at the church. And so different people have met with me or talked to me about different things on the list. Dan, you and I still need to hang out and get something post-Cheryl recovery. Let's talk. But different ones of you have mentioned, and I'm just going to, again, add props to Jen. Jen said, hey, I feel like I'm supposed to take the admin. I'm supposed to get that off your plate. And so Jen has started helping us on a number of ways, helping the teaching team line up where you see YouVersions mentioned every year or every week. She lines up the YouVersion templates for the teaching team. She's getting birthday cards and anniversary cards lined up, and so we can come in and we can sign them and get them in the mail. So I had Oliver's ready to go, and it was on my desk, so I just brought it out and handed it to him today. But and we get to celebrate. I saw Ron's next on the list. Ron, big birthday this week. Come on, about 20, 25, 26, somewhere in there. 29. Okay, I knew I was close. Upper 20s. We were leaning there. I just want to say thank you. And there's other things on the list, but just appreciate Jen for what she's doing, stepping in. I know she's over there, so go ahead. She may watch us later. Just celebrate her. But if you see her in person, just thank her for stepping up and just loving the church with her ability and her heart for giving and serving. We just couldn't do what we do without you guys serving. The Dream Team, y'all are amazing. And when I looked at our welcome party the other night, I was looking, even we had a few new stepping in, and prior to that, I was like, how many people are on our Dream Team? And I just started going through our family. In CCB, we have Highway Family, and that's the people we send the text to, the emails to, the invites for events and stuff like that. And the percentage was, it's interesting when you get into the church world, usually the percentage is 20 people do 80% of the work or something like that. There's some weird statistic, but it's like 20% do, that's it, 20% do 80% of the work. That's a percentage. And so when I looked at it, majority, just raise your hand if you're on the Dream Team. I mean, look at that. I mean, you're around. If you're serving in any way, shape, or form. Some of you didn't raise your hand, but you're on the Dream Team because I know you serve. So the fact that you give yourself to that is why we are able to do what we do. Now, let me keep applauding you as a pastor. We have had so many different seasons. If you've been here for any length of time, you know all the seasons we've had. And I just was celebrating, I think the other day with some of our leaders that where we've, even last year, I would say it was just a struggle of faith. God, God, please don't let us run out of money. Can I just say it that way? Can I just be blunt and vulnerable and honest? That you guys have stepped it up, especially since November in our finance series, and the giving that's in this house, the bleeding stopped. I can just say 100% the bleeding stopped. There's money in the bank. We have not had to move any from savings probably since November. I would say money's gone in and money's there to pay the bills, do what we need to do. So I'm just going to applaud you guys. Thank you guys for being doers of the word. Giving yourself to being here, consistent, plugged in, all that you're doing to serve, to give. And I'm grateful. I know it doesn't hit you the same way I feel it, but my ultimate desire is just to say thanks. Thank you for what you do. Barb at the door, my goodness, loving on people, hugging people, praying for people. Dan up here this morning in the prayer room, you guys don't know it, but every seat you're in, he prayed for. He prayed for those that are behind that screen today. He prayed for you. And so our prayer team every week is committed to making sure that everything's conducive. As much as I brag on the production team, I don't know how much the prayer team had to do with that figuring out. You know what I'm saying? It just all works together, and that's the beauty of the body. So I'm just excited about what God's doing in our house, seeing new people come. We had multiple visitors last week, my goodness. So even on a week we don't, it's still a good group of people in the room. Right, Belle? Right, Belle? It's good. Come on. It's good to have people in the room. I caught you right in time, didn't I? So let's lean into Mark chapter 16 out of the Gospels. So let's just, as we say every week, I want to grow. God, you have more. I want to know it. And I know this is not an Easter service, but hey, we just sang on Jesus rising from the dead. So we're going to read a little story out of Mark chapter 16. And believe it or not, it's crazy. We're hitting March. Easter's what, next month? Next month, I think, is April, right? April? All right, so verse 1 of chapter 16, reading out of English Standard Version. When the Sabbath, so Saturday was passed, Sabbath was passed, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome, brought spices so that they might go and anoint him. And very early the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. And they were saying to one another, who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance of the tomb? And looking up, they saw the stone had been rolled back. It was very large, just so you know the size. And entering the tomb, they saw a young man sitting on the right side, dressed in white robe. And they were alarmed. And he said to them, do not be alarmed. You seek Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you to Galilee. There you will see him just as he told you. And they went out and fled from the tomb, for trembling and astonishment had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. Now, I'm going to come back to this story, and it'll make more sense as we dive into it a second. But have you ever, in sometime in your life, even you adults, have you ever got the look from your parent? Mike, you know what I'm talking about, right? Ever got the look? Kids, everybody looking at kids. Have you, Josh, you've got the look? Okay, here's where I need some kids, maybe even teens that can volunteer for this. I need some volunteers. Just right, Josh, you had me at a hello. Come here. All right, so Josh, Eva, I think you're good here. Liam, you think you can do this too? Or, okay, come on up. Do I get one more? Come on up. Come on, right. Yes. All right, so here's the thing. You guys know what the look is. Like when you do something wrong, or you at least your parents think you did something wrong. You know what I'm saying? And you get the look, because I know Josh is very confident in the look. Okay, so here's the thing. Think about it. Do you know what the look is? You sure? You know what the look is? Like when you're like, oh no, Dad knows. Oh no. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna stand behind you, but yeah, y'all face me first. I want to see this first. Let's get a practice run. So give me your best, like when you're in trouble, what your parents like, how they look at you. Give me the best look. Can you get it? Oh, that one's a good one. That's the look. Is that Dad or Mom? That's Dad. Okay. That must be Dad. All right, that must be. Okay, so y'all got your look? Are you good? You got your look? All right, so on the count of 3, I want you to turn. Here's the thing. I want you to give your parents the look. I want you to give all right? So it's coming right back, right here. The give and you shall receive. Okay, so you know where to look. Okay, so kids, count with me. Count to 3, and they're going to turn around and give their parent the look. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, the look. Is it accurate? Tracy, is it accurate? Right there? That's close. All right, give him a hand. All right, yeah, go ahead. And I thought, parents, I don't want you to put on the spot. I think Derek needs to show us his best dad look. I think he needs it. All right, so I'm going to come back here. I'm going to be a part of the group here. It's all in the eyes. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, there it is. All right. It pierces the soul. All right. So when you talk about the look, we're going to dive into, you're like, how does that have anything to do with this story, Steve? I'll get to it. Don't worry. But as you guessed it, looking at the story, there is someone who is significantly named in the story. And we're going to dive into looking at the story of Peter. Peter today, so Peter was a fisherman. He was obviously one of the followers of Jesus, but he's known for some things. Anybody remember what Peter's known for? As you read the Gospels, what comes to mind? Okay, walking in water, denying Jesus. What else? Personality. Like what's his personality? He was a rock? The rock? Okay, big personality. What else? Bold, that's good. So when you start looking at it, some of the things you could describe him to as impulsive, overly assertive, a little brash, sometimes a little bit of a braggart. But at the same time, I heard like bold, like you see courage, especially when he steps out and walks on water when all the other disciples were back in the boat. You even find in the book of John records this moment where Jesus is talking to disciples, and Jesus has intentionally taught a message that would cause people to get offended. I love that, Jesus. He's like, so what? They leave, peace out. Right? But he looks at his disciples, and he's like, what about you? You going to leave too? And Peter, of all the disciples, is the one that steps up and says, Lord, to whom will we go? You have the words of eternal life. So you see that boldness. You see that confidence. Even when Jesus asked them, like, who do you say that I am? Who's the one that speaks up? Well, it's Peter. And he says, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. And so You look at these stories in the Gospels of Jesus and his disciples, and you always find Peter right in the middle of everything going on, always. And so when you look at Matthew chapter 26, after Jesus told the disciples that they would all depart from him, I mean, like, you're going to betray me kind of depart. Not like everybody going to go on a trip, but like literally telling disciples, you're all going to turn your back on me. Peter was the one that quickly speaks up. And it's interesting how he says, hey, Jesus, though they all fall away from you, I will never fall away. Jesus turns and says, truly, I tell you this very night, before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. Peter said, whoa, even if I must die with you, I will not deny you. Peter's sincere. Now, he's sincerely wrong. We know that. But he is sincere. Like, he is like, absolutely not. I don't care if Thaddeus and James and all of them turn their back. I will go to the death. I'll do it. I'll give my life for you, Jesus. And so, especially when you see him comparing, we don't ever hear which disciple brought up who's the greatest. I personally think it's Peter. I just think Peter was like, hey, guys, who do you think's the greatest? Come on. I mean, I just feel like it was him because you see him interjecting tinges of pride all through the Gospels, thinking he's a little bit better than the other disciples. Yeah, they might turn their back on you, but not me. He was resolute in what he believed, even to the point where he's in the Garden of Gethsemane after the prayer time. Yeah, he probably fell asleep with other disciples, but this moment the guards are coming in and Judas is with them to betray Jesus, and here's Peter stepping up and pulls the one sword he has and he cuts the ear off Malchus, who was like the priest's servant or whoever it was, priest servant Malchus. I mean, like, he's impulsive. Peter's assertive, but he's trying to do something all the time. But you find this moment, Jesus is warning him, like, Peter, more or less summed up, you're about to fail and bail like everybody else. You're about to turn your back. And now let me just stop as I'm going to go into this message today. If you've never failed, if you've never messed up, and you've never broken a promise or sinned in a big way, this message is probably not for you. But if you're anything like me, and you fall short at times, and you are desiring to move past your past, then I've got the message for you today. So I want us to lean into that because we're going to sum it up in 4 points. In essence, we're going to look at the process that Peter went through to get to shameless. There's a process we go through, and let me just highlight real quick. We'll just put them all up on the screen, and then we'll start going through and kind of picking each other apart. First is the process is renounce faith. There's renounce faith, but if you stay in the process, it will pursue to repentant heart. And if you get to that point where you have a repentant heart, the next step is a resurrected hope. And if you stay in that place of hope, you're going to have restored purpose. So I'm giving you the highlights, and we're going to go through and we're going to pick these apart today together to find out what it looks like to live a life that's shameless. And so, one, let's go back to renounce faith. So when you look at Peter and his journey following Jesus, giving his heart to Jesus, even this interaction of Jesus saying, you're about to betray me, you find Peter warming himself at a fire in Mark chapter 14, verse 65. And here in the midst of it, Jesus is being slapped around. He's being bullied. He's being hit. I mean, even that verse says the guards took him and beat him. That's what's happening to Jesus. And here's Peter, kind of just keeping his eye, keeping close, kind of watching. But here's the thing. Once he's in this environment, you start seeing the downfall that Jesus prophesied to Peter, the word of knowledge he gave, that Peter, you're about to do this. And so I want to give you 3 thoughts on renounce faith. This is what Peter did. First, he dodged. So here's a servant girl comes up. He's warming the fire. Peter practices the art of evasion. Whoa, woman. I don't know him. I don't know him. Put on the spot. Oh, I think you're one of the, so I don't know him. No, just a little while ago, short distance, he's the one that professes you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And right here, servant girl, oh, I don't know him. Can't even say Jesus. Can't even call him by name. I don't know him. So he dodged. And then what happens next when you start renouncing your faith is you distance. You distance. Peter started moving away from everyone. He started where he was being accused of being a disciple in that group of people around the fire. He starts swearing by oath, I am not one of those disciples. Starts distancing. He dodged. Now he's distancing himself. And ultimately it leads to the thing Jesus promised he would do. What's that? He denied. So we start dodging. Like, I'm just not gonna stand up in that situation, and then I'm gonna start distancing. And he denied. And so you find right there in this moments of accusations of how you're one of them. Peter invokes a curse on himself and swears that he's innocent. I do not know the man of whom you speak. I was thinking, it's easy to read that and kind of have thoughts of what would you do in that situation? How would you respond? And I don't know, in your journey, maybe it's at work, maybe it's kids at school sometime, some friends, or maybe in junior high or high school, maybe at college, someone put you on the spot and like, oh, you're one of those? You're one of those Christians? Oh, you have that faith? You believe that God? Have you ever been put on the spot of your faith, don't raise your hand, and you denied it? I want you to just sit with that for a second, because you know what that felt like. Everybody's kind of running down these other Christians over there, and you just kind of kept silent. You're like, man, I hope they don't know that I'm one of those. Maybe you didn't come all out right. No, I don't know that, man. I don't believe that, but you didn't step up. You hid the fact that you were a Christian. You dodged. You started distancing a little. Maybe there was a point, you denied. I'm not one. I don't do that. While Peter's speaking, the rooster crows. Peter, he didn't even say, you're going to deny me 3. He said, before the rooster crows. Like, how more specific can you get? Peter, I know you're sincere, but before the dawn of the next day, you are going to not just do it once, but 3 times. Started thinking this process. He dodged, he distanced, he denied. It's a slope. It's interesting how sin leads us. The more we get away with, the more we think we can do, the easier it is to do more. And it's a slippery slope. It's this process of walking away, moving away, repositioning our heart to a relationship with God when we don't stand for the truth. I mean, a series of bad choices, man, in a matter of minutes can lead you to a very bad place, bad outcome. So I was thinking about this. So listen what happens next according to Luke chapter 22. And we're taking parts of different gospels to put this story together. But Luke chapter 22, verses 61 and 62, I want you to hear this moment after the rooster crowed. And it's going to be on the screen. Watch this. The Lord turned and looked at Peter. Dang. Peter. Deny, dodge, deny. Curses, looks up. Jesus looks straight at him. It says, Peter remembered the saying of the Lord. How he had said to him, before the rooster crows today, you will deny me 3 times. Look at his response. Peter went out and wept bitterly. Peter got a look from the Lord. He got the look from Jesus. Jesus, face bruised, nose bloodied, eyes black and blue, probably blood streaming down his face. It says Jesus turned and looked at Peter. It's interesting when you look at the word looked, when you dive into it to understand it, it means what you think it means, to fix your eyes intently in the direction of, to gaze upon. He looked. Wasn't just generally looking somewhere, like Jesus looked at Peter in the eyes. Their eyes met. And you know when Jesus looks at you, it's going in the soul. Kind of like, if you've been around Pastor Missy much, she's got a way. When she says, how you doing? You can't say, I'm good, and not be good. Because she knows. She look into your soul. Some people avoid that when you're not good. It's not fair to her. It's definitely not fair when people do this push and pull. They like you 1 minute, and then they don't like you. She just sees people. She knows how to look and see how you're doing. She has a feeling. Jesus looked at Peter, and he didn't just look at Peter in general. He looked at him with an intent to say, Peter, do you remember what I said? Thinking about this, it's interesting when you say look, that word look, because that word looked was used to describe the interaction with Jesus and Peter prior in their relationship. You go all the way back 3 years earlier in John chapter 1:42, and it said, Jesus looked at him and said, you are Simon, the son of John. You shall be called Cephas, which means Peter. He looked. Jesus had a look. Peter knew that look. He looked at him, and now the rock, Peter, the rock, was crumbling under the pressure of what he had just done. I mean, you got to wonder. I mean, these kids did such a great job articulating in a facial expression what you as a parent do often. But you got to wonder what that look was like. I mean, we all lean into like the artist rendition of Jesus, or the Chosen's version of Jesus, or you got a picture in your head of Jesus now, of him giving Peter the look, and it, depending on our filter, what was that look? Was it the one of judgment, of disbelief, disgust, disappointment? See, sometimes that's the look, and I got the look plenty of times from my parents, and I know there was moments as a kid, I just didn't want to disappoint, and I knew the look was one of disappointment, like, I told you not to do that. You did it anyway. I mean, did Jesus look at him and just shake his head? Indicate how poorly Peter had just performed what he had chosen? And I mean, we start thinking about it, probably most of us would have expected that to happen. A little I told you so glare. But it hit me, I started thinking about the looks that Jesus had given people. And I don't think disgust or disappointment or disbelief or judgment were the looks that Jesus gave Peter in that moment. I mean, we can process through our own experience and how we feel when we have an interaction with a parent or a boss. Man, you ever got the look from the boss, the manager, the person who's employing you or overseeing you, and you're like that supervisor, and you're like, I can remember almost 10 years working for a pastor in Arkansas, and I can remember twice in 10 years. And you say, well, that's not a big deal. When it hits you the way it hits you, it is a big deal. Because I always wanted, God called me there to serve him in his vision. That was all I knew. Give ourselves to that vision. And I remember 2 times in those 10 years that he asked me to do something for him. And somehow I got distracted, somehow I got busy, somehow I forgot. I remember that moment, each of those moments where he comes, hey, what did so-and-so say when you called him? Like, oh, no. And that feeling like, I just dropped the ball, missed it. So we know that feeling. But here's the thing, when it came to Jesus, I will just venture to just say, I know it was a look of love. I know it was. You look at a passage like Mark chapter 10, verse 21, and Jesus' interaction with what we call the rich young ruler, this man who he was committed to the law, living the law. He was a student of the law. Man, I am doing I've done it since I was a youth. Jesus said, have you done this command, this command, this command, this command? And it says here in verse 21, Jesus looking at him, loved him, said to him, you lack only one thing. Jesus looking. See, The Lord knows everything about you, and here's the beautiful spoiler alert of the day, and he still loves you anyway. He still loves us. Come on, kids. He still loves you. Even when you feel like you messed up, you made a mistake, you got in trouble, Jesus still loves you. And there's really nothing you can do that will make him, listen, love you more. And there's nothing you can do that will make him love you less. Because he loves you. So that's true. And we look at this idea of Jesus looking straight at Peter. He's looking at Peter with love. But here's the thing. He's looking at you too with love. Right, Mike? Eli? He's looking right at you with love. Dan, like he is looking no matter what's going on in your life. The look that you get from God is love. That's what you get. Knows what we've done. Remembers the promises we've broken. He sees into our soul like no other. See, Jesus still loves. Knows what I'm going to do before I even do it. He's already at work to make it even redemptive when I make a mistake, when I mess up, when I turn my back, or when I sin. He's going to weave it into my restoration process. He's ready for that. That's what love does. According to Luke 22:32, Jesus, predicting Peter would bail on him, would fail him in that moment, he actually speaks a prophetic word of promise to him to give him his purpose back. He said, when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. I mean, he's literally telling Peter, you're going to mess up, you're going to turn your back, you're going to fail, but when you come back around, you're going to be the one that brings strength to your companions, your friends, your church. Peter, you're going to drop the ball, but when you come back, when you get back up, when you get the thing right, you're going to lean into it, and I guarantee you're going to see the strength that comes from that choice. Renounce faith, number one. Second part of the process Peter went through was a repentant heart. See, this penetrating look of love. In that moment, Peter was just in shambles, broken, destroyed. And you can look at that like, man, how could Jesus look at him that way and cause that kind of... No, his guilt, his condemnation, his shame caused him to react that way to the look of love. Overwhelming. What did we read? He went out and wept bitterly, meaning went out like he ran. He tucked out, he ran. He ran from everyone. See, that's what shame causes us to do, causes us to leave, to hide, to get away. Like we process through the lens of shame, and it's that feeling like I've lost all respect and of honor, and no one likes me, no one wants me. I messed up. I had improper behavior. I showed a level of incompetence, and now no one sees me the same. When you dive into those feelings, it always comes hand in hand with dishonor and disgrace. And I know what they think when they see me now. I know, I messed up so bad. I can't be around them anymore. I just know this is what they're saying about me. They're talking about me. I know it. We fill in the narrative through our filter and our lens of our shame. Maybe some of you in this room or you watching online, you felt that. You felt those feelings. See, shame's such a powerful emotion because it taps into our deep-seated fear of rejection and disconnection. It makes us feel unworthy and drives us to hide and avoid situations where we may be judged for what we think we did and who we are now. Shame is a taskmaster. It's mean. It's untruthful. It lies. This is what shame does. We essentially perceive ourselves as not belonging. If others really knew who we were, they would think this. Shame. The fact that he wept bitterly, I mean, like he's bursting into tears, lamenting, wailing. That word bitterly, is that word tied to like the wild fruit of the vine. It's excessively bitter and often poisonous. That word bitter indicates that. It's destructive. That word bitter also refers to like muddy water, like the scum on the top of a pond. Bitter, 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 bitter. In the Old Testament, the Israelites leaving slavery and captivity in Egypt, there's a place they come to a body of water, a small body of water, and like they're, we got water, we can live, we can survive, and they started drinking, and it was called Mara, bitter. It was a divine moment where God tells them to throw a piece of wood in the water, and you're like, that makes zero sense, and I know, I agree. And in obedience and the picture and the type and shadow. See, that's what God was leading through, was all the time teaching them some, giving them pictures, types and shadows, even for us to go back and read and see what happens when you have wood thrown into a bitterness. The cross becomes the thing that changes Mara. What was destructive. The place we were living in that was poisonous can change. Mark 14:72 says it this way: Peter broke down and wept. You ever let's phrase it this way. You ever been at your breaking point like that? Maybe you're alone, maybe you're around someone else you knew, maybe you just didn't care and you just broke down. Yeah, you've been there, Josh. You know that feeling. You can picture Peter, you can empathize with Peter in this moment of what he's feeling and how it's causing him to go into this place that's deep and dark. Big guy, Peter, the one that gets out of the boat, Peter, wept bitterly because of shame. Shoulders heaving, probably on his knees. I started thinking just the idea of bitterness causing this weeping, or what is the shift when we truly understand love? And I just started thinking about different things. In the Bible, Ezekiel 7:16, descriptive people weeping over their sin. He says, all of them moaning, each one over his iniquity. Psalms 51:17 tells us, though, with God will not despise a broken and contrite heart. So here's the thing. Shame is trying to drive you into this place of isolation and desperation and hopelessness. Yet in the midst of that, God will not be turned away because of what you're feeling. God doesn't despise your pain. I just got to get all cleaned back up before God will let me back in the church. God will not despise what's going on right now in your journey. But if you let God get in the middle of it, like Paul wrote 2 Corinthians 7:10, for godly grief. There is a godly grief that produces what we talked about a few weeks ago, righteousness. That leads to salvation without regret. See, when you let God get in the middle, condemnation will cause you to regret your decision, your action, what you did to drop the ball. It will keep telling you what a loser you are, but God does not despise it. And if you let him get in the middle of it, you and I can walk out of that without regret. That's the salvation of the stick in the bitter pond. That's what God can do. Imagine living life without regret. Peter hears the rooster. He saw the look and he remembers, and shame comes flooding in to his emotions. Like the psalmist says, 69 verse 19, talking to God, you know my reproach and my shame, my dishonor. You know, God, you know this. And Psalms 22:5 says, to you, God, they cried and were rescued. In you they trusted and were not put to shame. God will never put on you shame. That's not what God does. God never adds shame. The kingdom of darkness is what's adding shame. Condemnation is what's adding the shame to that mistake. Listen, there's nothing that brings godly sorrow. I mentioned that. godly sorrow that leads us towards righteousness. Godly sorrow. There's nothing that brings godly sorrow better than a glimpse of Christ's kindness and his goodness. Like Paul wrote, Christians in the city of Rome, Romans 2, verse 4, or do you presume on the riches of his kindness and forbearance and patience? Right here, here's where I'm going. Not knowing. Do you presume not knowing? Do you presume not knowing that God's kindness is meant to lead you to repentance? Do you not get it? See, we really don't know from that moment when Peter ran out from the fire pit to weep bitterly. We don't know where he went to. It doesn't tell us where he got. My guess is an isolation somewhere, some desolate place. He's probably thinking things are over. He's disqualified from the team. He's off. He did it. He betrayed. He gave in to the pressure. And Peter, because of shame, is now a broken man. I wonder how many of us feel disqualified from the team. And we've gone too far. We've done too much. If people only knew. Maybe not in the room. Maybe you're watching today and you're just tuning in to this and it's hitting right at the right moment in your journey. You've been questioning, like, I don't think I can belong again. This is a promise of hope to us. God doesn't leave us in our brokenness. Man, we've said over the years, countless times, you've probably seen it. Maybe you have something on your fridge that says it. It's okay not to be okay. And we always tag on, but it's not okay to stay there. It's okay if, man, it feels like you are broken today. But when Jesus gets in the middle, when God is invited into it, he does not leave you broken. That's just not what he does. He restores. He renews. He redeems. He recreates. He brings life to what was once dead. That's what God does. That brings us to number 3. This process Peter's going through and what he's feeling, because you get God involved, you get into this moment, and he finds resurrected hope. Let's fast forward a few days from what Peter did, and now we read in this passage we started in Mark, you find the ladies, women that were some of the entourage in Jesus' ministry. And it's interesting to read the Gospels. You kind of picture just 12 guys. 12 was just like the beginning point of the ones that were his team. And he's got a whole ministry entourage. People. I mean, I'll just fast forward. How do you know that, Steve? Well, one, it mentions by name that there's a bunch of people that go around helping ministry. A lot of women that helped in the ministry team. But Jesus sent out 70. Later on, after he sent the 12, sent out 70. By the time they're in the upper room, post-resurrection and Jesus' ascension to heaven, I mean, you got 120 on the team. It's interesting you find this passage that these women are coming to the tomb to anoint his body. He's in the tomb post-crucifixion, and they're going to come anoint his body. And they get there, and literally they're like thinking, oh, how do we get the big rock moved? It's open. Spoiler alert for next month. I'm sorry. It's open. In verse 5, it says they saw a young man sitting on the right side, dressed in a white robe, and they're alarmed. Tends to be the reaction, as I say all the time, for every person seeing an angel. They're sharing the news that Jesus has risen from the dead. The angel gives the women a commission. Verse 7, but go and tell his disciples and Peter. Now that means something. Angel telling the women, go tell the disciples and Peter that he's risen from the dead. Just as he told you he would do. Go, that's a commissioning word. Depart, go quickly, deliver an urgent message. And here's the thing. I want to lean into this real quick because I want to be a pastor for a moment. Next week, Missy and I are getting out of Dodge. We're going to go celebrate our April anniversary early. There's a few layers to what I'm going to say, but the first thought here is this house unashamedly brings women into fullness of all their calling and ministry. And I'm glad you appreciate that. Because the history of the church has taken, in different pockets and different camps, pretty much 2 verses that Paul writes in a cultural connotation to say, women, not only should you not teach, you should be silent in the church. Tell me one church that believes that the women are all silent in the church. That same verse also talks about all the men should lift their hands in worship. Some of those churches, you can't raise your hands in their services. But here's the thing. I can go down theology conversations with you all day long. The first people commissioned by the kingdom were women to go tell the disciples that he's risen. I mean, church leaders could choose all day long. Heaven chose who's got the message first. In a culture where women had no voice, as you can see, God put all of what's about to happen on your shoulders, ladies. Go tell the disciples, he's risen. And we can argue a few verses that Paul writes to a cultural church that was in all kinds of craziness. We can go down that rabbit hole all you want. I'm just saying what we just read. So here's the thing. Is Tredessa, a little plug for you next week, is up teaching. Everyone in this room is going to lean in. Get ready to hear from God. Because in the Spirit, there is neither Jew nor Gentile, male nor female, slave nor free. We're all one. God appoints and he anoints and he positions key gifts in the church to equip the saints for ministry. Women, you have a part of the ministry to voice and to teach. The body has been anemic for generations because of the lack of honor. So our house, we lean into that. Just so you know, in case you're wondering, I'm not talking to any visitors in the room, so I'm talking to you guys. So just so you know, this is why. Because God chose women to carry the voice first. That makes sense? Men, you good with that? You understand that? Because over the years, we've had people sometimes fill out a Connect card. Oh, I can't believe you let her teach. I can't believe it. I'm talking about Tredessa specifically. Missy's been the brunt of most of those for the years. You're out of line. How dare you let her? There's other churches you can go find, and I'm okay with that. But in this house, we're going to honor the gifts. Amen? So y'all come in ready here. I guarantee you I'll probably have service watch the next day. But here's the thing, just so y'all know, that's one little side rabbit trail. The other, when I talked about that list and talked about what the overseers, pastors in my life had challenged me, talked to me, illuminated, man, you've got to let go of the sword. Do y'all remember me talking about that? Well, this year with our teaching team, I've intentionally, I think I took six Sundays off. Some of those are me and Missy just getting away. Some of, Amber moves back in May. I'm going to take the family, just not be here. There's the teaching team. I appreciate Tredessa, Pastor Eric, but Pastor Matthew has been a gift back in our house too. And if y'all haven't gotten to know Matthew and Daisy and their beautiful family and get to see them quite often, there's still some youth ministry they're doing and some things still in Thornton that you're doing, but you're here and you're receiving and you're soaking and you're letting Holy Spirit heal things and you're leaning into one another and you're leaning into the call in your life. And this is a house that's safe for them to do that. Right. And so Matthew is going to step up a few times this year too. He's going to be teaching the house. You might see him sometime up on the stage playing bass, or I don't know, family might want to be involved doing things. This is just a safe place for them to get to love being the church with us. So I'm grateful, Missy's grateful for this teaching team. We've got maybe one or two outside guests coming in. I know for sure in May when we move Amber home, Pastor Charlie is going to be coming. We prayed over him and his wife planting a church in Erie. He's going to come minister. But I know God said for me to learn how to let go of the sword. I mean, I've worked so hard. I feel like I have to stay connected and be here. We'll see what happens for us in our internal compass, but I know it's a healthy thing. And so as much as I value that you're here on a Sunday, I don't want to be saying, oh, you need to be here every Sunday. And you're like, where's Steve? I want you to know what we're doing. There's 52 weeks in the year, and I'm intentionally saying, okay, I think I just added you, Eric moving to worship, you teaching another time, so that's seven Sundays this year. I'm unhooking. God, this is your church. I'll let you do what you need to do here. Got people, amazing team, people serving, people giving, like, God, this is your church. So I value that. I appreciate that. But I want you to know what I'm doing intentionally, because Missy will tell you, like, I'll have to make myself not tune in and watch a live stream. Why? Because my heart's here. It's what we do. This is our passion. But there's just moments for us, we know we've got to let God do what he wants to do in this house this year. And that's a call. That's a call to all of us to take a step up, to serve in teams, to maybe some of you move into positions of leadership this year. I don't know, but I just know we're in mission together. We're journeying together. And I want you to understand the heart of this house is for all of us to be healthy and empowered. Come on, longevity. I don't want to burn out. I don't want to burn out. I want to run this race and do everything that God's called me to do. And there's moments where God puts someone into the story and says, go to the disciples and tell Steve. Tell Andrew. I still see him. I'm not done with him. He might feel like he's DQ'd himself. Not ice creamed himself, disqualified, make sure I say that right. Maybe he intentionally stepped away and stopped associating himself with the other disciples. I don't know. But as far as Peter was concerned, he had blown it. No longer hope for him. But God wasn't done with Peter. He wanted him to know that. He wanted him to know the resurrection brings hope and healing, not just to the hurting out there, but to you too, Peter. He wants to take our shame. As Jesus died and he was raised from the dead, he offers forgiveness and freedom to those who have fallen. Peter denied Jesus. He denied Jesus. There's no skirting that. There's no getting around it. He's guilty as charged for disowning Jesus. The phrase, "and Peter," in 2 words, wraps up the fullness of the gospel message. He sees you too. And Peter the denier, in a moment I know needed personal assurance that he was seen, sent the message. We were told to find you, Peter, tell you. He's alive. He's alive. I was diving into this message, kind of what I said earlier, but felt like this message is for all those that you've blown it, you've messed up, you've compromised, you've reneged on your promises, you've turned your back, but the empty tomb is still there. It's the promise of a shameless life. You have a fresh start today, a new beginning today. You can hold your head up high today. You can walk out of this room with no shame. But Steve, you don't know what I did. You don't know what happened to you. You don't know how my marriage is doing. You don't know what my kids were turning out to be. You don't know. I don't know. I don't care. You do not have to walk out of here with shame. That's the message today God's telling us to lean into. Man, just picture Women leaving, running in a hurry, going to tell the disciples to find Peter. I don't know, Peter, imagine him sitting in a corner, hiding in the shadows, hoping no one would notice. I don't know if he's absent from where the other disciples were or somewhere else, and that's why they had to be told to go find him as well. But that moment, they said, he called you by name. Came across this quote this week. I haven't got it on my mind. I've given God a million reasons not to love me, and none of them have changed his mind. None of them. Brings us to number 4 before we close. Part of the process we're talking about Peter went through. Because if you get there, the 4th one is the one you want to keep going to. You get restored purpose. I have a purpose. There's a reason I am still here, breathing in and out. There is a reason I'm at that work environment. There's a reason I'm in this family. There is purpose to what I do. 1 Corinthians 15:5, Paul says Jesus went out of his way to retrieve Peter and restore him. Even says he appeared to Cephas, Peter, then to the 12. Jesus even made sure to restore Peter before he interacted with the others. We don't know exactly when that happened. Maybe it refers to the John 21 passage where Jesus finds Peter. Peter decided let's go fishing again. More or less drifting back to his old habits and lifestyle and behavior. And it's interesting, the story goes, kind of telling to go back to what once was. They fished all night and caught nothing. And once you've tasted of the goodness of God and you allow shame or something to come in between that and you start drifting back and denying, dodging, and moving it's just not fulfilling to go back to what you thought once was good because you've now known God. So you find this story. Daybreak, Jesus is on the shore. I mean, you've been fishing all night, throwing nets, pulling back in, throwing nets, pulling back in, try over here, throw nets, pull back in. They're not fishing. We know fishing. Throwing nets, pull it back in, throwing nets, nothing. And then daybreak, here's Jesus on the shore. Just picture sunrise, sun's coming up over the water. You look out at some of their little fire on the shore. Jesus is cooking some fish, cooking some breakfast. Let's catch anything. For the love. How do you know everyone in that boat was like, just don't answer. Hey, did you catch anything? No. Why don't you throw the net on the other side of the boat? For reals. I don't know what had happened in Peter to humble him to the point. He's like, might as well, y'all. I mean, prideful Peter, he didn't know nothing. We're the professionals here. They threw the net on the other side. So many fish jumped in that net that it reminded them of the miracles that they had seen with Jesus. And Peter looks up and says, it's the Lord. And he jumps, grabs his cloak, and gets out of the boat to swim to shore because he couldn't get back to Jesus fast enough. There's this moment when something shifted in Peter to cause him to run back to Jesus and not deny anymore, to not dodge, to not distance. He gets to this moment with Jesus. Maybe it was private. Maybe the disciples hadn't got to shore yet. We don't fully know. But there's this moment that he's with them. He talks to them. And the disciples get there and they all have a breakfast together. They all eat. Because we know he had an interaction with Cephas before the disciples, but here you find out in verse 15 and 17 through 17, when they had finished breakfast. So now there's this moment they're going to talk all together. Jesus looks at Simon, Peter. Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He's talking to the other disciples. He's talking about the fish. Probably the fish, in my opinion. Because that's what he went back to. You love me more than these. Peter, do you agape me more than these? Do you love me unconditionally? And Peter, in all his strength he can muster, he says, you know I phileo you. Peter, feed my lambs. Verse 16, Jesus said to Peter a second time, Simon, son of John, do you agape me? Peter says to him, yes, Lord. Know that I phileo you. Tend my sheep. Says the third time, Simon, son of John, do you phileo me? Peter was grieved because he had said to him the third time, do you love me? He said, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said, feed my sheep. And just as Peter had denied Jesus 3 times around a campfire, here Jesus restores him 3 times around a campfire. Peter, feed my sheep. Peter, feed my sheep. Peter, feed my sheep. Peter, you cannot fulfill your ministry and live in the shame you've been in. So we have a number of looks in the story, don't we? We have the look of the servant girl. At Peter, we have Jesus look after the denial. We have Peter running the tomb after the women had told him, and he looks in, sees it empty. We have Jesus tracking Peter down and looked at him in a way that took away shame. So let's make it personal today. Have you been discouraged, dismayed? Have you denied him in some way, how you're living? I don't know, maybe not verbally. Whatever you've done or said, is there shame? Well, here's the point of what we've dove into today. Jesus is looking at each one of us in love. Now. It's not disgust. It's not disappointment. That word disappointment's what keeps just, man, it's like just an explosion goes off my spirit every time I've said it. I don't know who it is. You felt like you're a disappointment. You're a disappointment. You thought it, but some of you have said it. I'm a disappointment. I'm just such a disappointment. I can hear you saying it in my head right now. Maybe someone said it to you one time and you owned it. Such a disappointment. He's right. She's right. Such a disappointment. It's become the language of your soul. Because of the shame we've felt of ourselves, we've assumed he must think the same thing too. But he's not. He died for you. He rose again for you. And there's a moment where you can run and hide, or you can jump out of the boat and get to shore to get it right with him again. Yeah, there's a couple other quotes that I read. This one, again, is like, man, they're just so good. No matter how many steps you've taken away from God, it only takes one to get back. It just takes one decision to turn. And the beautiful thing is that the gift of God is free. Grace, forgiveness. You don't have to work it out. You don't have to have penance and do all the certain things to qualify again. No, just turn and say yes to who God says you are. Receive what he's given you free pardon we talked about a few weeks ago. D.A. Carson, a Canadian theologian, said it this way: you're not suffering from anything that a good resurrection can't fix. And there was a good resurrection. Because on the other side of Jesus restoring Peter, there's this command, this instruction he gets from Jesus. And after this saying, this he said to him: follow me. Follow me. How did it all start? With a look. Jesus saying those same words: follow me. Follow me. It's the same call. It's the same commission. God didn't change his mind because of his mistake. He looked at him. He said, follow me. You, he even made it personal in one of the other gospels. You follow me. Talking to you. You follow me. Keep on following me. That word follow, it's a translation of continuation. Keep following me. Put it in my notes as I encourage you, obviously on Sundays, kids do such a good job with all the things that kids ministry put in their bag with their ability to draw and take notes, and some of them send them to me or show me after service, and I love that. And I encourage you, just so you know, if I'm in a conference or I'm in a service, I'm taking notes. I was writing down one of the speakers in one of the sessions. It hit me in a way because I knew what I was teaching, but he said, if we can move past shame, we can get healing. If we can get past shame, we can get healing. Which makes me think there's hope for us today. Come on. I don't know what you need healing in, but if we can get past shame, we can get healed. Bow your heads. Father God, I just pray over this group of men and women, kids in the room, young adults, people watching sermon through a live stream. God, I don't know how many of us needed to hear this today. Specifically, not we all need to hear it, but specifically for the moment we're in. Some of us, this is good, and we'll keep it in the reservoir of knowledge, and the Holy Spirit can bring it up when we face something. But there's some people today. This is the word they needed. I don't know how else to do an altar call with this, but to ask that way. Keep your heads bowed, eyes closed. Just say, this is the message you needed today. Raise your hand if that's you. I don't know how else to say it. Okay, yeah, hands everywhere. This is the message you needed. So here's the thing, where I last week had people pray over you, I feel like all of us can just stand right here. We're just gonna pray. We're gonna close off. We're gonna pray over the food. I'm asking the Holy Spirit to show me. Currently, I'm not feeling like you need to come to the front and us lay hands on you or anything. Like I just feel like he's highlighting what he wants to do in you. I'm leaning into this for a second. I don't want to miss this. Food's here, so I'm not concerned with time, but I just trying to hear. Okay. I feel like we're gonna pray. There's so many hands that went up, but I'm coming back to that word disappointment, and I'm supposed to lay hands on you. And if that's you, that was the thing today. You're like, I that's the word, and I need to get that off me. I have felt I am a disappointment. I believe that. If that's you, raise your hand. Okay. Come up. We're gonna pray over you. Pastor Eric, join me up here. I think I've got a group of guys. Maybe there's a lady. Tradessa, you go.